Well, this is another segment in the top 100 facts series. Yeah, I took a day off. Should have thought about this better, but whatever. So so far we got no God. We got a universe controlled by physics, crude forces. No intelligent creator, at any rate. And the third fact is that we are essentially equal in that, a broken leg over there is the same as a broken leg here. Anyway, all right. So the fourth would be, it gets complicated because it's now you're getting into the subject of values and what it means. What is good, what is evil, what is good, bad, all that stuff. Productive is a good word. So basically, the universe, if you look at it, if you just look at it and you say, well, what's the spectacular component here? What's the thing that's really important? And you really got to conclude that suffering is the big one. I mean, pain and deprivation. I mean, as nature imposes on us these needs, obviously it is uncomfortable if we are unsatisfied, if we are wanting, at least hard wanting. And then there's this other side to that, which is also pain, and a lot of people just, who cares? Just completely unimportant. And I suppose in the context of 4 billion years of life evolving and all these animals doing a lot of suffering, maybe appreciation is hard to come by. But, we're going to decide how much suffering is going to be endured in the future. That we have control over. We can't fix the past. And basically it's just this huge universal negative. It's just this I've put it before that all we're really doing here is trying to fill in the holes that nature dug inside of us and inside the universe, and these deficits that we're trying to correct for. Because if you really think about what satisfaction is and what happiness is and what adulation is, all these things are consequences of perception, and they're basically a satisfaction, a completion of a need, of a wanting. And those wantings are just basically contrivances of nature, most of them, all of them. I don't like to say all of them, but maybe that's all we're left with. Our concept of beauty is completely subjective, really doesn't mean anything. I mean, as much as we think beautiful things are beautiful, as much as we're awed by them, as much as they rip at us emotionally, it's all bullshit. It's all just a conditioned perception. It's a circumstantial perception, and by twisting a few neurons, you change that. It's completely individual, completely has no objective reality. And so we're trying to get onto objective truths. So objectively, like I said, all we're left with is the negative, and the obligation to try to minimize it. And we can minimize it by giving people what they need, or by changing what they need, and by changing ourselves and what we need even. And I suppose that's part of what I've tried to get to with the some of the solutions videos, that we have to recognize that we are um, wanting machines, and we have to want efficiently. I mean, there is a sort of, there's no competition in the real world, but there's a competition in terms of our net worth, in terms of our net productivity. And so nobody, no culture, no society, no even group is applying that standard. But if it is applied, I mean, we all have to judge ourselves, and we all have to say, well, look, how much selfishness am I entitled to? How much extravagance am I entitled to? Because it is all sort of our own, it gets very silly. I mean, there's people with a lot of money out there who are unhappy because they don't have more money, or because they don't have some specific thing. And it's like they're never satisfied. I mean, the modern mystic sort of got to this point in one of his videos, that you reach satisfaction, and then 15 seconds later you're wanting again, and you have to understand that cycle and understand how insidious it is, and that it does control us. And I'm not saying you have to become a Mr. Spock, perfectly objective person. I'm just saying, let's admit what we are, and also admit that it is desirable for us to change our perception, so it is possible for us to be satisfied with less, rather than incessantly needing more and more and more. It's a truth that I could go out into other continents in the world, with a pile of $20 bills, and I can make people deliriously happy. Not just happy, deliriously happy with $20. And that's just the truth. And there's no point in ignoring it and saying, okay, well, we're going to just write off those people. We don't give a fuck. Because guess what? Their feelings are real. And we have to account for it. We can't just keep ignoring it. We can't just keep saying it's acceptable, it's okay. Deprivation in the world is okay. I mean, either we have to control populations that are in need through some means, birth control, whatever, or we have to accept that we are consuming too much, that we need too much, that we almost have to regulate ourselves. We're almost a poison, because we need in terms of, we consume in terms of resources what 1,000 times what would make thousands of people somewhere else happy, comfortable, satisfied. And that we have to take responsibility for that. You just can't just run away from it. And so most atheists don't, they are these libertarian crazy asses who's in love with the whole notion of competition, and I got mine, and that's all that matters. And logically, it's not a good enough answer. It doesn't get to the root, and the root of the issue is that suffering and deprivation are universal evils, both universal in the sense of a universe, and universal in the sense that it applies on every inch of earth. You can't run away from that fact. It's not a fact that just exists in my head or in a few other people's minds. It's an objective fact. And people can disagree with that, but I think logically, I don't think there's any way to escape it. I don't think there's any logical argument that can be made to justify the level of suffering going on in the world.